Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, whether you're joining us live or on a replay. We've got a wonderful, wonderful couple joining us tonight, the Rosens, and I'm so glad to be interviewing a dad for one of these testimonials because Darren has been such a huge cheerleader. So hi, guys. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
And happy Father's Day.
Thank you. Thank you.
By the way, if any of you have to walk off at any point because children need you, obviously we'll understand that. And we'll try to keep this short because we know you're probably tired after a day of running around after kiddos and celebrating dad. So we'll be respectful with your time. So let's jump right in. Tell us about yourselves as mom and dad, as professionals, your family, and how come we're having this discussion tonight? Because we're getting along well and getting some fun results together. So welcome.
Do you want to start?
Sure. So I am Nikki, and I am a mechanical engineer. And we have two daughters, Adeline, who is 3.5, and Lexi, who is 1. So it's quite busy right now. And I am currently actually on leave. I took 14 months. Or 16 months it'll work out to. And then Darren is sharing the last couple months with me. So we're actually just about to start 2 months off together, and then both returning in September to work.
Yeah.
And then
so I'm Darren. This was my last week of work before parental leave, so that'll be really nice. Really looking forward to our summer, which I think will be awesome. Also mechanical engineer. I do project management for a construction company. For commercial construction. So, Nikki and I met way back in university, and
a long time ago now.
Yeah, I know.
More than we like to admit.
Exactly.
They're both loving parents. You've got dogs. You're Oilers fans. What else? What are some other fun facts?
Yeah,
I know usually you have lots of
giant dogs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I used to we're in kind of my little basement office set up here, and I used to be on the other side. There's a lot more Oilers memorabilia way back there, but we've moved my office over.
Awesome.
So tucked in the corner a little bit more now. But Oilers season ticket holders, so hopeful that things can kind of get back to normal in the fall, and we can get back into Rogers Place.
Yeah, we're all hoping that things are going to get back to normal and being able to hang out together. So the one of the reasons we're talking tonight, I'm looking back about a year ago, we were sitting on a couch, you were popping a pink ball of bubbly, and we were celebrating that you were joining. It's almost a year ago. I can't believe it, but you joined the community in the Mom BA, Nikki, and Darren was with you, and we're popping that bottle. And I remember he was so supportive. So we're here to talk about that because I think that Darren, you participate in the background. We don't see you on many of the calls, but I know that you're experiencing the Mom BA by Nikki's side. And for those of you watching us, the Mom BA is a 12-month group and one-on-one hybrid coaching program for successful moms in corporate and STEM and their partners, I will add, because we're very keen on supporting partners as well through the process. So how has the experience been for you? And let's go back to the moment where Nikki, you went up to Darren and said, there's this thing I want to do.
Pretty much that. I had actually signed up because I was at that event, I think it was back in February, a year and a bit ago. And I had signed up for the mat leave cohort that was supposed to start in September. And that's when I'd heard about the Mom BA program, and so was considering switching. But obviously there was a much bigger both time and financial commitment to do that. So I pretty much just blurted it out one night that I found this. You knew I was signed up for the other one. Just I found this new program, and I think I'd like to do this instead. And went into all the great things I loved about it. The type of moms that it catered to, and I really thought it would be a good group to connect with people. And especially with COVID at that time, we obviously hadn't really seen anyone, and so I was really looking forward to that. I liked the full year idea, just to be able to get the weekly calls for a much longer duration, both to get to know everyone and then also dive a lot deeper into each of the topics. So I told him about a lot of those things, and then the cost at the end, obviously. So he was definitely a little hesitant at first. You can talk about your reaction a bit, but
I mean, we definitely that was kind of my first reaction was, okay, how much is this going to cost? And I think it to me at the time it was kind of like, okay, that's a big number, but I also knew there were a lot of benefits to go along with it. Obviously, Nikki was really excited about it, so just kind of seeing that passion in her, especially, I think I can't remember the exact time that we started talking about it, but it was certainly a ways into COVID, a ways into mat leave, and obviously two little ones at home. Creates a challenge for anybody, especially when you can't get out into the world and kind of have the outlets that you need when raising kids. So that was kind of the things that I looked at was how excited she was about it, the benefits of the program, and I think it kind of talked about or the things that Nikki was bringing up anyways, made a lot of sense as far as what I felt she needed, where she was at, whether it be career wise, role as a mom, as a parent, and kind of marrying those two together and integrating. I don't want to say that work-life balance, but that's kind of what it comes down to, right? Is figuring out how to still focus on your career, but also be good parents to your kids, right? And
absolutely
make sure that you're there if that's what you want to be, right? And I think we obviously both want to be present parents.
Yeah, absolutely. So what made you then make that, what was that tipping point where you're like, okay, you know what, it's an investment, but we're going to see the benefit, let's do it? Do you remember that exact moment where you both felt like we're ready to take that?
I think if I recall correctly, I think we talked about it a number of different times. The big thing was like how excited Nikki was. That was a big indicator for me. I also knew that she'd been isolated without being able to have interactions with people, and I thought from a mental health standpoint alone, it was a very good thing, a positive thing to be able to share experiences with other moms out there, and do some of those things that she hadn't really been able to do much of due to COVID. I think one of the other things that I guess I didn't mention earlier was actually I was concerned about the time that would have to get invested into it. So we had a lot of conversations about, okay, can we make this work from a time perspective to make sure that she's got the time to put into it that's going to make it actually beneficial, because you don't want to shell out all this money and then not actually be able to contribute or keep up with it or whatever. So we had a lot of conversations about that, and that was I think that was kind of really what it came down to. Is we talked a lot about it. Nikki was very passionate about it.
Excited.
And just really excited. And I think, not even really knowing all of the program myself, I could still see the benefits that would be there for her and ideally for our entire family. But again, at that point, I didn't know enough about it to know how it was going to really affect her entire family, other than it was going to take her away from us for a few hours a week and whatever. And I'm certainly glad that we did.
That's a really fair question, because I guess there are partners who can be concerned about the time it's going to take away from the family. And so let's dive into that. Nikki, how has the experience been for you? I know it hasn't always been easy to jump on, but you also talk that you enjoy having that weekly connection with others. So let's talk about that, how you've been finding the time or making the time, or sometimes doing what you can essentially with what you've got and where you were at. And then Darren, we can jump in how you benefited from those reflections together as a family.
Sure.
So I do the evening call. I find I've only a couple times done, because we basically do the same call twice a week, once around lunchtime and once in the evening. And I've done the lunchtime one a couple times, but I find that really challenging. So for me, I really focus on the evening one, but we've made that just a part of our routine. And once a week, Darren finishes bedtime on his own and I go do that. And it's been really helpful for me. It's something to look forward to, and the calls are always really engaging, and I feel a lot better after I attend those calls. Even if I go in having had a pretty tough day or week, I usually leave feeling a lot better. And just thinking about new things to do in our life, or things to look forward to, or new ways to incorporate different things, new ideas. Because there is a lot of people, again, in similar settings, or family dynamics with work and everything, that a lot of people have really good ideas on things to help with different problems, or you're just not having enough time to do something that you want to do. So I really find that helpful. And in terms of the other content, I'm very up and down, I think, depending on kind of where we were at with the kids in the season. But I do really enjoy it. So once I get settled into it, I enjoy doing that in the evenings. Or naps are a little tricky now because they don't really nap a lot. But earlier on, I used to use nap time a lot more. Now it's a lot more of the evenings. But it's also really good just for me and Darren to sit and talk about those different things. Yeah. And he has really enjoyed the calls that he's been on. We have done a few joint calls, and it's a little trickier for bedtime, but the calls themselves have been really good. So overall, it's something I really look forward to doing. So it is at least worth the extra time. And I feel like it just helps mindset wise to get back to a more positive place. So I'm better moving forward from there. And you've also had some great ideas as well for me, because obviously you have 2 kids as well. So just some tricks and ideas to try and create a calmer day, or carve out little chunks of time when I'm struggling a little more with that. So that's been really helpful as well, just to have someone else, kind of an outsider, be able to look at that and have some new ideas and perspective. So
yeah, and I think what worked for you, Nikki, at some point, like, we decided where are we going to get that vision board done. So we set some deadlines to put the pedal to the metal. We got it done, and I know you're really proud about that, and it was beautiful to see. Darren, let's talk about your experience. Where have you benefited from the content, and some important decisions that you've made differently based on the work you've done together as a couple?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first thing that I would say is I wish I had been more involved. I found that, like, a lot of the stuff that you guys were covering was very interesting, very relevant to our family, and I think helped to kind of steer us in directions that we've always wanted to go and get to, as far as whether it be financial planning, career planning, just that again, that balance of career versus family and whatnot. So I wish I had been able to be a little bit more involved. It's been a challenge. Having the little ones at home and working from home, and there's just no downtime. So I think my mental state was not always in a place where I was ready to listen to what Nikki wanted to talk about, because she'd always, usually leaves the sessions pretty energized and excited about what she talked about. And I am not a night person at all, so I'm just like, let me sit on the couch and just chill here for a minute. But when we do talk about it, I think, it's really helped us kind of grow as a family and as a couple. There's been a lot of conversations that we've had that, like I kind of said earlier, we've always wanted to have, but nothing's really pushed us to make it happen. So there's been some things that we've done that way. Our family values was a big one that, that was, I would say, my first big kind of entrance into the Mom BA world with Nikki. Mm-hmm. And I'm really glad that we did. It was basically, sitting down and going through what's important for you. I guess it was personal values to kind of begin with, but we sort of tied that, into family values. And I recently had an opportunity presented to me with work, basically where it was a bit of a promotional opportunity, but it would have required me to cancel my parental leave coming up here. And it was a really tough decision. I mean, I've been trying to sort of gain traction within the company and sort of climb that corporate ladder. And this would have been a good stepping stone to do it. But when I was kind of going through pros and cons and whatever, Nikki actually brought me my personal values that we had written down as part of that exercise, and being able to look at that and say, okay, what were my top 5 things that I said were important to me, and look at that, and family was basically number one, and that made it a lot easier to make that decision and basically say, no, I'm going to carry on with my parental leave. And that's 10 weeks with my kids that I'm never going to have another opportunity like that. especially coming out of a pandemic into a summer, that hopefully we'll be able to start doing more things. But yeah, that was a big one for me, was that personal values that actually really helped me in making a tough decision. And it seems so simple. It seems like, well, yeah, we all love our families and whatnot, but it really made that decision a lot easier to make, and certainly do so without any regrets.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's interesting that you say that, because this weekend my husband was supposed to go with the kids to a family cabin, and I was going to stay and do some more catch up on some stuff. Life got so unpredictable, but my son came to me and he just begged me to go, and I made the decision because family is so important, and I thought I really have to live what I preach, and so the other things will just have to wait because family is so important. So it's really good to hear that. And it's true, most people don't take the time to look at their values. They go through their whole lives without consciously knowing what drives them. So, which turns me, our values are so tied to our identity, and our identity changes as parents. And so I hope that the sun in my face is not too distracting. I'm trying to just that. But it's, when you decide to invest in a program like that, it's not a university degree, it's a personal and professional development program, and you're kind of crunching the numbers. But with your experience, and your numbers people, right? Your logical people, with your experience, if you're going to make an analogy, or what is that worth to you to live a life? You've made an investment, but what is it worth to you at the end of the day? To lay the foundation, like I say, would you build a bridge without having a plan, or would you build a house without having the proper foundation? So now that you flip that money to build like that solid foundation, what is that worth to you at the end of the day?
Yeah, I was actually kind of thinking about that after Nikki kind of told me about this call, and trying to think about that exact question, and what is it really worth, and I think there's so many things that and it's still a process for us. We're still going down the path. By no means have we done everything that we wanted to do with this. But I don't know if you can really put a value on it. It's a lot of intangibles, I guess, things that we've now talked about that I think we feel a lot more united on, or knows how each other feels about certain things. I think we've become a lot more connected as a couple because of it, because of some of the conversations that have come out of it, and become more understanding of each other, and our points of view. And
I think just even the mindset part of it, I feel like we both just have a different perspective on our days, and are able to reset a lot easier when things just start to go a little more off the rails, which obviously happens a lot when you have a lot of chaos and kids and dogs and everything running all over.
Embracing perfect action.
But it helps us get back to a better place and really be able to focus on the things that are really important. And I know I have definitely been able to let go of a lot of things that I think I worried about because I thought I was supposed to worry about them, or I thought things should be more perfect, or I should be better at certain things than, or I should care about this because others care about it. And when they weren't really something that I was concerned about. And so it was just adding stress, but no value. It's just like that thing on your to-do list that you can't get done because it's really not that important to you. And it just sits there reminding you haven't gotten there. So I was able to let a lot of that stuff go. And I think even when we disagree with it on things, we tend to get to a better place a lot faster and be able to have better discussions, having talked about so many of these different topics, and have a better idea of where we're coming from, and we know what we're trying to work towards, which is really helpful, because even money decisions, where we're going to put our money, or what we want to invest in, what we're actually planning for in retirement, what do we actually want to be able to do when we retire? Because we were one of those that we set money aside, but with no actual rhyme or reason. We picked a number and sure, that's going into savings every month, but with no plan other than when we retire. Whereas now we have a much more concrete plan and know what we need to save for. And So even things that we've done around the house have been easier decisions because we know what it'll add to us. So the cost has been a lot easier to be okay with and just accept it and be happy with it and move forward from there. So,
yeah. Thank you for those answers. To start wrapping up, I'd say, imagine so last year you were making that decision to invest, and perhaps you would have walked away from it. You would have just spent mat leave without that network of now 20 women, without that place to discuss your mindset, your relationships, your parenting, your money, without people to help you feel like you would have walked away from it, and you probably would have spent the money somewhere else, because let's face it, when we have kids, the money, we're like spending money left, right. So you spend the money last year, and now, so if you hadn't done the work, where do you think you would be today if you still didn't know your values, if you didn't have a financial plan, if you weren't on the same page, if you weren't as connected? What would be the cost in terms of health, stress, opportunities lost in terms of finances, maybe even career confidence? Who knows what kind of professional opportunities will come from having that network? What would be the cost of not doing it?
A lot. I was going to say, I mean, even actually for my first mat leave, this is my second time, I had done the AHS mom group, and although it was really nice to have people to, hang out with your babies and whatever, I didn't connect very well with a lot of the group. And I think a big part of it was I was very career orientated, and just the way that we operate as a couple, I think, was very different than a lot of the others in the group. And I definitely noticed the difference. And when I went back to work, that at least I felt a lot better. And this mat leave, I felt that I stayed in a much better, more positive place, and had,
I can vouch for that.
Yes. So our experience has been much better because of that. And it's helped me stay much more focused on the right things and have people to talk to, that I feel from even our first get together, I felt that I was just able to connect with people so much better. And I think it's just similar minded people, and just working to, try and do the best that they can with their life and move more intentionally towards whatever it is they want. And with everyone having that mindset in place, it has great discussions, and I feel like keeps me positive and motivated to keep trying to do those things as well. And so I would probably be pretty grumpy if we hadn't done it.
I think that's honest.
We'd be grumpy and floating around.
I think our mental health would have suffered a lot more for it. Certainly stress levels would have been a lot higher. I wonder, if I would have made the same decision about the parental leave. I'm the financial aspect of things has always been very high on my mind. And I think, more so I look at the money more so when we're spending things than I think Nikki does. She looks more at the experience or the value that we're gaining from something. And I struggle with, that's money out of the bank, and so that, I think, for me, I worry that I would have made a different decision about the parental leave, and we would have been miserable for the next, several months because of it, and had a lot of regrets from that aspect. And just, I think that would have created a lot of tension as well. So,
I think that decision would have gone very differently and not in a positive way.
Now you have a different roadmap, right, to make decisions, like principles and what you want to build and what you want to look back on. And I bring that up recently, a lot. I mean, people in my circle know that I lost my dad very unexpectedly a couple of months ago, and I was with him the last few weeks where he was choosing who he was going to say goodbye to right before Christmas. He had 2 weeks left. And so, when we look back on our lives, that's what we do in the Mom Bee program. We project, in 25 years, is it going to matter that you spent a few $1,000s versus not spending it on building the foundation, a foundation of concrete, of something that's really valuable too, because once you know you're making decisions out of your values, you can't really make a wrong decision. You're making something that aligns with your heart and soul, and you can feel like you've done the right thing no matter what, right? You know, that you set your inner compass. Yeah. So as a last question, if there are couples having that discussion, you know, like, should I consider this? Can we afford it right now? What would be your tips for them on how to have that discussion to make a decision that aligns with what serves their family?
You want me to start?
Yeah, go for it.
I think one thing is be honest with yourselves. Look at where you're at in your life, and if you think you need some extra steering or attention, if you need to have some of those conversations, you know, do you need better communication as a couple? Do you need to have more alignment on your life goals and decisions that you're making for your future together and for your family? You know, if it's a financial thing, are you at a position where you're not really sure what you're doing, you know, for your financial future yet? One of the other aspects that we didn't really bring up, but we kind of talked about sort of extended family planning and things like that. That's another consideration as well. What's going to happen with your parents and you know, whatnot as well, and are you going to be at a position to be caring for them or things like that throughout your life, and you know, where do you stand on those decisions? I bring that up because, you know, I've got a dad that's unhealthy right now as well that I'm concerned about, and I think those types of things that the program can really help to bring you together and into alignment and steer you on a path that maybe, you know, for us, I know we were, like Nikki said, I think we were kind of just floating out there before. Like, we were trying to do the right things, but not really with a cohesive plan. And I think the program really helps to tie everything together. And you know, whether that be life, career, financial, parenting, you know, all those types of things, it really brings it all together and puts you on a path to go forward.
I think it's just much more intentional. Like, we know what we're working towards and have a set, I guess, end destination, which helps a lot better. You know, you don't necessarily know exactly how you're going to get there, but if you know what you're working towards, then that, you know, helps those things. I would also just say that, I guess, for anyone who, when you're having kids, at least for us, I feel, and a lot of people we know, it's such a big life-changing event. And it's not just, oh, now there's this little person, but then the rest of our life kind of goes back to normal. Like, it doesn't at all. And neither do you. Like, you're everything that's important to you, the whole way you operate, the way you think, the things that you care about. There's so many things that I care about now that I didn't really give two thoughts about before, that you know, it just changes you so much. And that, I think, when you're such a career orientated person, that's what kind of disorientating, because you, all of a sudden, everything you thought you knew about yourself, you knew what you were working towards, you're very focused, and then all of a sudden everything in your world is flipped upside down. And I found this helped us get back on track to be that focused, you know, family again, but with kids and everything integrated into that. I think we maybe were like that before we ever had kids, a little bit at least, but and like, our career was easier to envision when you didn't have kids to consider.
Yeah, and you never know what their health situation is going to be, or like how, right, if you're going to be able to handle it all together. It's just a big mystery until you actually have the kid in your arms.
Yeah, and just how you're going to feel, how you're going to react, and certain things that, you know, what's important in your priorities. So I think that just helped us sort of reset as a family and just come back together to have a new, clear path forward with, you know, what we worry about and are more passionate about now. So
absolutely. Yeah, and that toolkit is good for, I'm going to reuse it, because after experiencing, and not to put a damper, but within 1 week, I lost my dad and my grandma. So that's just so life-changing. Just like birth is magical, there was an honor to be there with my dad, and it changes you profoundly. And that's why even this weekend, it's hard as a business owner because the buck stops with you and you could be working all the time.
Yeah.
But it was a no-brainer for me when my son said, please come. I'm like, yes, I'm going to come. And I'm never going to get that time with him again. Right. And he's only going to be that age. And how do we just work out a plan where we can honor both the career aspirations and the time with family, because we have limited time on this earth, and we also have special gifts to share as parents, as professionals. So thank you so much. I don't know if there are any final thoughts. I know we've reached about half an hour, so I'm ready to wrap up. Unless you have anything more to say, then I can see you backstage and say thank you for your time.
I think that's everything I had to say. I really love the program, so if anyone has any further questions, I'm always free to answer them.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's been really good for Nikki, good for our family. I encourage the involvement of the dads as well. I thought it was really good for the couple of sessions that we had. So definitely, I know it's not for everyone, but I thought it was really good. So.
Yeah, we'll do more of those, and maybe hopefully be able to gather by some bonfires or something.
Yeah.
As things reopen.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and I'll see you backstage.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Thanks.